Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Vamily Show. Today, with me, I have Juli Realy, and she has a website called Juli for Joy. And you talk about happy for no reason. Um, and so, what led you to be happy for no reason? What is the reason for that? I guess. And how do I become? How do people that listen become happy for no reason?
Well, I had a happy childhood and I always had a dream of becoming a horse trainer, although I didn't always have adults supporting that dream. Um, I pursued it and I was successful and I had a fairly happy life. But I was doing a job. I worked very, very hard, but I was doing a job that I loved and went on through life. But of course, as life goes on and challenges start arising, things get a little bit more complicated and then it's harder to maintain happiness. Um, I I got very, very ill and I became so ill. The doctors weren't really helping me at that point, and I became so ill that I had to actually retire from my horse career. And I moved my business to another facility for a while. I lost the farm due to foreclosure, some legal issues my husband's business was going through. I lost the farm. My health started going bad. I moved my business to another stable, but I became so ill I was not able to meet the physical demands of my job anymore. And I had to retire from that. And when I retired from the horse training, I started facilitating drum circles. I always loved music and drumming and was exposed to it. And I'm like, I want to do this. So I started doing some training and started getting into that. And with a background in art, I also started facilitating painting parties.
Okay.
And I continued with a lot of energy working in my church. I did ministry for the church and ran children's choir and adult choir and some other ministries at the church. But as life went on, I continued to get sicker and sicker, and my health continued to deteriorate. So it started like in 2015, and by 2018, I was down to 93 pounds, and I was emaciated, and I was cross country skiing and had an accident and fractured my ankle and tore the labrum in my hip. I was
Oh,
also
wow.
waiting for shoulder surgery from an injury that I had while I was still training horses, but um, they wouldn't clear me for surgery because of my physical condition. So I had this gimpy shoulder, and then I tore up my leg and hip. I was in a wheelchair for 3 months, and at that point, the stress on my body was too much, and my organs started shutting down. I was like really sick. I was so angry at God. I like lost all hope. I wanted to die. I was
Mm-hmm.
put on medication to help my colon work, and it really affected my neurological system and created a lot of anxiety and depression. So I went into the black hole. I was
Yeah.
just lost. I I felt like my body betrayed me, and I couldn't understand why God let what happened to me happen and why he wasn't like answering my prayers like, okay, God, you want me to continue working for you, you got to help me get well. But
Right.
like I felt like I was abandoned, and I was ready to die. I wanted to die. I wasn't ready for suicide. I thought about it, but I couldn't do it, and but I wanted to die.
Right.
But I had some loving support, and I was directed to start doing a little bit of restorative yoga for healing. And I started doing the restorative yoga, which is different than regular yoga. And it was very powerful for me. And that led me into doing breath work, and that led me into doing meditation. And then I participated online with the Global Sound Healing Summit, and I discovered sound healing. And I started doing a lot of inner work, and um, I went through a spiritual transformation and connected with God again. I actually discovered the Happy for No Reason program during this time of doing self inner work. And the program really resonated with me. I had already done probably half of the exercises in the program. The Happy for No Reason program consists of building your inner home for happiness, and uses the metaphor of building a home and having support pillars that support your home. And the pillars of support are the foundation, which is taking ownership of your happiness. Recognizing that you are the only one who creates your happiness. You don't get it from circumstances. You don't get it from other people. It's just really you and your connection with God.
And that takes a while. It took a while for me to learn that it has to come from yourself and not from other people. Because I think especially if you get codependent on other people, it's real easy to if a person isn't there or a friend isn't there or whatever, it's real easy to get down on yourself. So I think that was the hardest for me to learn.
It's a big lesson, and I actually really didn't live my authenticity through a lot of my life. I lived through my spouse. I've been married for 43 years, and I have 3 adult children now. Um, so the next pillar is the pillar of the mind, and it's like, don't believe everything you think, because we can think things and they are not always facts. They are not always reality. They're thoughts that our brain gives us, and our brain is so powerful. We have over 60,000 thoughts a day, and 90% of them we had yesterday and the day before and the day before and the day before, and 85% of them are negative thoughts, because that's built into us from our survival mechanism from the caveman days, when
Right.
caveman had to be aware of everything. So it's very hard. We need to question our thoughts, and we need to go beyond our mind and let go of our thoughts, and really focus on the positive and not the negative. And our brain works like Velcro for negative thoughts, and it works like
Yeah.
Teflon for positive thoughts. I mean, and
Yep.
this is like scientifically proven, and research. It's not just hearsay.
So
So
it's
it's
retraining your brain then to
it
get a more Velcro to the good thoughts and more Teflon to the bad thoughts.
Absolutely, you got to flip it. You got to flip it, and that's hard, because we get grooves in our brain that are embedded. They're like, it's like if you have to go through a meadow every day and you take the same path. Eventually, that path becomes well worn, and the rocks get kicked out of the way, and the roots get worn down, and the weeds get trampled and die, and it's sort of a smooth path, and it makes it easy to walk that path. And even if it's a bad rut and a bad path, it gets so easy to walk, and we sort of get addicted to it, and we want to stay there. So when we decide to change our mind and change our thought processes, we'll say, okay, I'm going to make a new path in the meadow. So you're all excited in the beginning when you make that commitment and that decision and that intention, but then you start walking the new path, and it's all bumpy because it hasn't been smoothed out, and you stub your toe on the rocks, and you twist your ankle in the rut, and then you trip and fall, and then you're like, heck with this stuff, I'm just going back to the old path that's all
Right.
well worn and smooth. And then you go backwards, and that's part of the process, is recognizing that that's going to happen, and just picking yourself up and keeping going to keep building those new paths. And then the next pillar is the pillar of the heart, and allowing love to lead us, and not just always rationalizing in our brain what we think the world wants us to do, what we think other people want us to do. We have to let our heart lead us, and we need to focus on forgiveness and gratitude and spreading loving kindness. And the emotions that we have are so powerful, because the positive emotions release the positive hormones that are good for us, like serotonin, and the negative emotions actually release the negative hormones, like adrenaline and cortisol, and things that in very short doses are okay, but on a regular basis are really harmful to us.
And they can
So
lead to stuff like heart disease and all that kind of stuff from
absolutely,
over.
absolutely. And there's a Heart Math Institute that does research on happiness and health, and they are learning and discovering how important it is to have positive thoughts. And out of all the positive emotions, gratitude releases the most feel good chemicals. So whenever you are stuck in grief, or stuck in anger, or stuck in resentment, or whatever's bringing you down, You got to just like go into a state of gratitude
Right.
for anything and everything,
That
and
puts that puts a new spin on the Lord's prayer. Then when He says being and basically being thankful and thank you for the daily bread. So that really puts a new spin on since gratitude is the most important. This puts a new spin on that altogether for me to know that another thing in the Bible, if you take it and apply it, will actually help your health.
absolutely. And somewhere in the Bible it says, give thanks in all things, not just give thanks for the good things. And that's another thing, is that we have to realize that the negative things that happen to us are preparing us for something greater. And they do contain pearls of wisdom and gifts for us if we look for them. And if we look for the lessons in those situations that pulled us down, then we can get growth and become better human beings.
Yep.
Instead of looking back at them and wallowing in despair and like resentment that happened and why did this happen to me, like my health. When my neurological system went haywire and I developed anxiety, it was like a curse for me. But now I have developed such an oversensitivity to energy, and I harness that and I use it to help other people, and it has become a gift. It has
Right.
become a gift that has brought me and other people a lot of joy. And God was preparing me for something. When I went into that black hole, it was really like I was put back in that oven to be fired and created as something new. And I did. I had a complete spiritual transformation. And after my spiritual awakening, I didn't really want to go back into working with the horses and doing what I was doing before, because I really developed a desire to help people as I started climbing out of this pit. And I had to do it myself. Like I say, the doctors really could not figure out what was wrong. And as I started healing through my own intention and reconnecting with God, I just had when I would run into somebody and I would feel their depression or their anger or their anxiety, I just would want to grab them and shake them, say, you can change. You can get out of this. This is not you. You don't need to be there. And I developed a very strong desire to help other people. And so I started pursuing sound healing and taking training. And now I work as a sound healer, and I work as a happy for no reason trainer and coach. And I combine the two together. And I feel like I have so much joy and resilience in my life, and I feel like I can help other people to get that resilience and joy, and maybe I can help them reconnect with God a little bit too, because that's actually one of the pillars. After the pillar of the heart, we have the pillar of the body, which again goes to, we need to get enough sleep. We need to drink enough water. We have to eat good food. We need to move. We need to exercise. Our bodies were made to move. And like right now, we're all stuck on the computers and stuff, and we don't get enough movement. And what movement has done for me, it has allowed me to release a lot of emotion. We hold trauma. We hold a lot of memories. We hold it in our fascia and our muscles and our bones, and it's in our body, and it's in there, and it gives us aches and pains that, like, oh, I don't know, my feet hurt all the time, or whatever. But all those aches and pains are like stored negative energy that we have, memories. And when you start working with movement and you focus on it, you're allowing your body to release it through the movement. And not only that, but every time we focus on movement, when we do mindful movement, we actually build new neural pathways in our brain. So if we're trying to rewire our brain, releasing the old negative energies and building these new neural pathways, and that's all through movement. I mean, meditation is very powerful, but it's the movement combined is really powerful. Not only that, but as you move and you become more flexible in your body, it's made me more flexible in my mind and in my heart as a person. And as I've developed more strength in my body, I've developed more emotional strength and resilience too. So very, very powerful. And the pillar of the soul.
Your mind's going to manifest stuff really powerfully, and that's what you're kind of talking about, where it's the neural pathways. So if you start moving and start exercising, and you turn that into a habit, then that neural pathway is going to want you to keep exercising and moving. So it's a self reinforcing mechanism. Is that kind of what you're getting at with that?
Absolutely. I'm like addicted. I am addicted to my movement, and now it's restorative yoga, it's qigong, it's movements that I make up. I do neural balancing movements. I do all different type of movements and create my own thing. Um, but it's very important for me, and I combine that with meditation. So, I mean, in the mornings, I get up, like before the sun comes up, and I love it. It's quiet, it's still, it's my time, and I get up and I do 2 hours of movement and meditation, and it's combined, it's blended. The meditation is part of the movement. Meditation was very powerful for me. I did Joe Dispenza's meditation on how to break the habit of being yourself. And it's basically set up so that you uh, uh, pick out an emotion that you want to release or a habit that you want to release, and then you make that your intention and you focus on that specific thing as you do the meditation. It takes a month to get through one intention. First week is doing induction, which is changing your brain waves so you can access your subconscious. The second week is recognizing what habit you want to change and declaring it, and identifying how it makes you feel. And then the third week is learning, training your brain to catch yourself when you start experiencing those feelings, so you can say, hey, I don't want to do that anymore, I'll change. And then the fourth week goes into creating your new self of how you would behave without those habits or patterns. And I did, though, now Joe Dispenza's meditations are not Christian based, but I inject God in my own when I do the meditation, even though he doesn't have God included. So it was very powerful for me. Now, I don't do Joe Dispenza's meditations anymore. I do other types of meditations that I've grown into, but that was a very, very powerful part of my path too, to help me change my brain waves, being able to access and go into my subconscious to facilitate that change was really powerful for me. So I really, it's really important to do a little bit of meditation. And prayer and meditation are similar, based on your intention, of course. So we need to address our body, we need to nourish our body, we need to energize it, and we need to be able to tune into our body's wisdom. I think God speaks to us through our body, saying, well, why are you always getting pains in your shoulders? Well, because maybe I feel like I'm carrying the burden of the world. Well, we don't need to carry that burden. We can share
Right.
it. And
That's
you know what I'm
God's
saying?
bird.
So there's a lot of wisdom in our bodies. And then, of course, the pillar of the soul is we have to plug into the spirit. We have to connect with our higher power. We have to connect with God. We have to listen to our inner voice. We have to trust in life's unfolding. We have to have faith in the fact that the universe is on our side, that God is going to provide our needs and take care of us. And whatever we're going through is meant for our greater good. We have to, that's really, really important
And
to
God provides
thrive.
for all the little sparrows and stuff like that. And how much more important are you than a sparrow is? So you have to get that trust and that faith. And for me, when you were talking about the black hole, when I was in my black hole, prayer is what got me through and got me out of it. And I don't know what got you out of your black hole, what helped you out when you were there, but that's what helped me out. And so I like to tell people, that you don't have to, it doesn't have to end. You don't have to, it can get better. You have to get through the tough part. And the tough part is a real battle. It's a real battle, because I tried to take my own life before. And that's why I have the little sign down there on the bottom, and why I donate to them, because I want people to have a place to call. And I think one of the places you can always call is in prayer, and ask for guidance from God. And so I kind of wanted to know what got you out of your black hole, because I was down there for medical and stuff like that, and the doctors not knowing what was wrong with me and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, no, it was definitely prayer. Definitely prayer was a big part of it, but it was a combination not only of prayer, because I believe we need to take action. And prayer is asking for God's help, but I believe we need to take action towards that. You know, it goes back
Hmm.
to that story about the flood that comes, and the guy climbs on the roof of his house, and then somebody comes by with a boat and says, "Hey, I'll give you a ride back to high ground. You can get off your house now." And the flood's rising, and the guy's like, "No, no, no, I'm taken care of," because he prayed for God to save him. Okay,
Well, there's the
and,
boat.
and and so the boat goes, but that was the boat, right? You know, then the
Yeah.
helicopter comes. Hey, yeah, we're here to take you off the roof. No, 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 I've got God coming to save me. And then the water's up to here, and the guy's saying, "God, why are you abandoning me?" And says, "What do you mean abandoning you? I sent you a boat, I sent you the helicopter, and you just turned them all away." But God does work through other people.
Hmm.
And the worst thing is when we get into that bottom of the pit and we try to close ourselves off from other people. And I was fortunate that the people around me didn't let me that happen.
Yep.
And they were working with God's power to help lift me up. And so it was a combination of prayer, but it was also a combination of taking action and knowing that I had to work and help myself and not just
Yep.
wait for the doctors and wait for God. I mean, I needed to encompass it all. It's very powerful. So it wasn't like an overnight thing. It was a really long, slow process for me.
Right.
And
Right.
and as I went through the process, I just connected more and more and got closer and closer to God and feel like I am closer to God and Jesus now than I have ever been my whole life,
Yep.
you know.
I'm right there. I'm right there with you. There's something about when you even lose your health and there's nothing else that you finally come to realize. And I'm like you, using what happened to me to help glorify God and to help other people. I think is something that I feel called to do, and obviously talking to you, you feel called to do, and my saying is stop waiting for life to happen and make it happen. So that kind of goes to what you're saying is ask God for help, and then you have to do the work, part of it. So um, when you were younger and you wanted to work with horses, what led you there? Was it some movies or did you just always feel drawn to a horse's spirit?
I've always, you know what? I've always been drawn to nature, to animals. I've always found God present in what He has created, and that has always nurtured me in my life. And that is truly a connection to nature and to animals, because I think that animals sometimes, you know, people have so many judgments and preconceptions, it's sometimes hard to connect with people, and animals don't do that. I think animals have more of a heart of God sometimes than people do in many
Yeah.
cases. And so I was always very, very connected. And all I did when I was a little girl in school is draw horses. So I don't really know, I don't really know where it came from, but I always had that. It was always a part. I used to get in trouble in school. People, teacher would think I'd be passing around notes, and they'd, "Oh, you're drawing," and they'd be like, "Oh, that's good. Okay, well,
All
just
right.
put it away," you know.
No, what is it about, and you might have some more insight on this. What is it about music and art that gets so ingrained into your mind? Like there's people with Alzheimer's that they don't remember like anything at all, but they can remember songs that they did when they were younger. So what is it about those that you think is so ingrained in us as humans that it sticks there no matter what?
Well, there's a couple answers. One is we're all energy. Our bodies, we're all energy. And music is energy and frequencies, and so it just sinks in and soaks in and changes us when we listen to it. And so that is very powerful. But um, aside from the fact that we're all energy vibrating with energy and vibration so that we can hook up with the power of sound, I believe that we are all creators. I believe we're made in the image of God. He is the best creator there is. And
Right.
because we are created in the image of God, I believe we are all creators. I feel like there's only two modes of life, there's survival mode and there's creative flow. So I grew up living in creative flow. I was very blessed to have that be part of my life. My parents supported me when I wanted to do art. They supported me when I wanted to take music lessons. They actually forced me to take music lessons before I even chose for myself. When I was little, I had to take music lessons, but I liked it.
Hmm.
And so I was very blessed to have that as a gift. And I know a lot of people don't feel like they are creative. They say, I'm not creative, I can't draw. But there's so many activities that we do in our life that are creative. Look, you're creating your vehicle to travel around the country and deliver a
Yeah.
message to people. That's a creative activity. When parents make up a game for their kids to play so that the kids will leave them alone for half an hour, that's a creative activity. When you go home and you rummage through the refrigerator and you take a bunch of leftovers and then you spice it up and create a new flavor, then that's creative, you know?
Right.
I mean, everybody there's we are involved with creative activity all the time, and just people just don't even realize that they are being creative.
Right.
And the more they can tap into their creative nature, the more healing they get. I believe that
Wow.
when we express ourselves creatively, we're letting that divine energy flow through us, and we're letting that come out through us in a creative fashion, displaying the uniqueness of who we are, which is the unity of all of us. It is our individual uniqueness which makes us the same as the other person, because we all have that individual uniqueness, and that's what unites us all. And I think that's what Christ wants, is us all to be um, connected and united and
Amen to that.
share with each other in the creative way with the beautiful power and energy that he gives us. So the drumming is totally a release and a creative expression. Art is a total creative expression and release, and everybody should try to do anything, even if it's just drumming on the table, man. Drum, like, how do you feel today? I feel great. Yeah.
Right.
You drum it. I create like little rhythmic chants and affirmations that I play for myself that support me and make me feel good. And doing a creative thing is putting you in that creative flow, releases those positive chemicals. So when you're in the bottom of the pit, you
Right.
know, like if you can just even get like paper and pencil and start scribble how you feel, scribble a drawing of how you feel, create, that'll help you feel better. Just putting it, just doing it and letting it come out. Music, it's also powerful. So actually that's what I do, is I do the sound healing. I work with the tuning forks, and I'm learning the traditional Chinese medicine. I apply the tuning forks to acupuncture points, so it's very, very powerful. It's very, and traditional Chinese medicine is beautiful because it addresses the whole, not just the body. Like Western
Mhm.
medicine is sort of more on the body, and they address the mind, the body, the spirit, the emotions. So the work with the tuning forks on the acupuncture points is very powerful in all those aspects, not just on the
Right.
physical body, but on the mind and the emotions. I also use sound bowls and gongs and flutes and drums and
Right.
all sorts of things. And I do still promote art, although now instead of doing the drumming and art in a recreational way, I do it focused with the intention of healing,
Hmm.
focused with the intention of bringing people into their creative self, and triggering that innate healing that we have, that God gave us. I mean, God gave
Right.
us that healing.
And when you're talking about, I want people to know we're mostly made up of water, and there was
Hmm.
experiments done by a Japanese scientist about water
Dr.
consciousness.
Emoto.
There you go. And so when she's talking about sound healing and all that stuff, and you may brush it off, the fact of the matter is, sound can heal because it changes how water molecules are able to form ice crystals when they're freezing. So if it can do that, just whatever music you're listening to is going to affect you. And people out there probably listening, you turn on one of your songs when you want to jam out or whatever your favorite song is, and it can change your mood. Well, what you do with different sound techniques is probably close to the same idea, same process, is using those different sounds and stuff to help heal you. And I love having people like you on that do alternative. I hate calling it alternative because it's still medicine in my eyes, but different methods of healing. Um, and more of it is starting to come to light, which to me just shows the power of God, because all the we can go back to the Bible where you talk about sound in there and praying and all that kind of stuff. It all ties into to healing ultimately. And Jesus, what did he do? He spent most of his time going around healing people and was a healer in that way. So you're kind of doing God's work by going around and healing people now too.
Well, it's interesting because Jesus was a Reiki master before Reiki was even around. I mean,
Right.
that's he's laying the hands, the power, the healing, it's
Yep.
energy, you know?
Yep. And it's amazing how much it all goes together without people realizing how connected, and then how connected you are just to other people.
Hmm.
If you're, when you're talking about being thankful, if you're just thankful to another person for what they've done for you, you're releasing that thankful energy to them, for them to receive that, and it helps them feel good. It not only helps you feel good, but it helps them feel good to be thanked for it. And that's something that I've struggled with myself, is not only being thankful and to other people, but also receiving thankfulness. So are there some tips that you can tell people that would help with being more having that gratitude attitude, and being better at it?
I have actually a chant that I wrote about gratitude that's called "Let's Do Gratitude and Change Our Attitude, Elevate Emotions, and Feel Good." A little
Right.
chant on the drum that I wrote. That, yeah, and it's powerful. And you said something that was really key. It's not just giving gratitude and thanks; it's also receiving it. And
Mm-hmm.
when you choose to not receive gratitude and you brush it off, you are actually robbing the person who is trying to give it to you. When
Right.
you say, "Oh no, no, it's okay. You don't have to thank me." No, receive it. Receive the
Yep.
thanks. Don't blow it off, because that is validating the other person and giving them the opportunity to give the
Right.
gratitude. It's really, and it's necessary. It's like a circle that goes around. And if the receiving of the gratitude isn't there, then it's not really full.
Right.
And the same
Right.
with love. The same with love. You know, how many people go around and do loving service for other people, and all they do is invest their time in serving other people, but they don't take care of themselves or love
Wow.
themselves.
Yep.
And then they run out. They can't refill. We
Yep. You
need
get
to
that
we
that
need to
burnout feeling.
Yeah, that's why Jesus went out by himself, is to be able to refill.
Yep.
Even he needed to refill
Yep.
and
Even
not
he
be the
needed to sleep
constant
too.
giver. He needed to refill. He needed to sleep. We
Yep.
need all that. We need the attention. We need other people. We need support. That's how God works, is through. Like people say, "Well, what church do you belong to?" And I'm like, "Well, I could give you where I'm registered, but really I feel like I belong to the church of the world.
Mm-hmm.
That's my church,
Yep.
is my connection with other people, sharing
Yep.
from my heart to touch other hearts,
Yep.
you know."
I love hearing sermons from multiple different preachers. I have the main one which I go to and volunteer at, which is at Elevation, um, but I listen to so many different preachers because I get so many things from when they speak that I can take and put into my life, that it makes me um, be much better. And so when I'm talking about worship music, and the Psalms in there, I didn't realize that the Psalms were all written as songs. They're supposed to be uh, they were written down as songs. I just recently learned that. So I'm kind of wondering how many different books in the Bible were written as supposed to be musically, and not just uh, read.
Hmm. Yeah, that's an interesting question, but music is very powerful, and it's actually, the Bible actually speaks about singing and music like hundreds of times. I can't
Mm-hmm.
remember the exact figure. I knew it at one point, but because I used to try to convince people that when I was trying to get them to join the choir
Right.
in church, I
Well,
would
and
start telling
how
them
many
how often God says
about
we should be singing.
yeah, and the angels singing and all that kind of stuff when
Hmm.
he talks about it there. Um, Going back to those choir days, What's a funny story about somebody that didn't want to do choir and you were able to get them to come around and start singing choir and it kind of changed their attitude?
I don't know. I can't remember about a single funny story, but
Well, I guess anybody that were there quite a few people that their attitude changed as they were in the choir and were singing and
well, I guess the biggest effect is when I'd work with the children because there would be children who didn't want to be in the choir, but their parents signed them up and
hmm
forced them to be in the choir. But they realized, I made it really fun I tried to make it really fun. So I always tried to just let them sit and soak in their place and then invite them and sort of let them grow into it. And they always would end up growing into it. Sometimes they would become the best choir members, the ones who
wow,
didn't want to do it. And then they would realize, hey, this is fun. Hey, it feels good. Hey, we sounded really good today,
right. Oh, I can't
and then
sing that kind of stuff.
but I mean, I would get them into clapping and I would get them, we would like march and sing. So we would be moving. And I didn't even realize how powerful what I was doing was. When I
Right,
was doing what I was doing, I didn't realize how powerful it was. And I only learned that later on when I started studying sound healing. But the
right.
fact that I was getting the kids to move and sing at the
You were
same
already doing it.
time, I was they were having fun. They didn't have to worry about controlling themselves in their seat because I was allowing them to move, and
Right.
it became a beautiful thing for them, and it was powerful. And then their parents would start getting into it, and sometimes the parents would join and sing along, and it was great.
Yeah.
And that's why I
Yeah.
started making those recordings on YouTube, is because I wanted these kids to learn the stuff. There was only so much time and practice. So
Right.
I put them up on YouTube and send the links to the parents so that they could practice with the kids. And then it would be better. Then they'd come and they'd be prepared, and it would sound better, you know.
Yeah. And
So,
that's an amazing thing. And to think, I mean, how many different kids go back and remember you and remember you fondly. I don't know if you ever stay in contact with any of them, but I
oh yeah.
wonder I wonder how many lives that you changed. And maybe they went into singing, or maybe they took that and had a completely different life than maybe they would have just from those moments of being in choir. And I remember in I think it was seventh or eighth grade, we had a choir teacher, and instead of forcing us to sing the songs that he wanted us to sing, he let us bring in songs, and he would learn that on piano, and we got to sing. And so we sang a Nirvana song in eighth grade in choir, which most people you wouldn't have that happen, but we sang it, and because we got to sing that, we sang the other songs that he wanted us to learn too. And it was one of the funnest times that I had in school, was that time in choir. Even though I couldn't sing that great, I still had a good time when I was in there. um
And you're part of the group, so you don't have to worry about singing great,
right, right,
because it's a
exactly,
group effort. Yeah. And
exactly.
actually, the fact that your teacher gave you choices, that's really powerful. Choices, giving people choices is very, very empowering. Giving children choices is very empowering. And you can limit their choices so that they're
Mhm.
making good choices,
Right,
but just giving them choices. And I used to try to do that. I used to try to do that too. Say, okay,
yeah,
we've got Easter coming up. So did we do anything last year that you want to do again this year? Yeah, Mrs. Really, let's do it, and then they'd all start
right.
saying what they wanted to do and they'd jump around all excited.
And I think his philosophy, if I were to guess, was he wanted us to learn to love music more so than necessarily what songs he was teaching. He wanted us to have a love of
Mhm.
music and take that with us. And I already had it before then, and play guitar and all that kind of stuff. But it's just one of the fondest memories I have is that class. So I'm sure there's plenty of kids that you were the favorite class that they had when they were learning stuff as well.
Yeah, we had fun. I had fun too. Their joy was my joy.
Right,
It's a
right,
circle. It's a circle of
right.
life.
Exactly, exactly. And sometimes it feels kind of selfish to get that because you get joy, but it's learning that the joy is also on the other side. I think that you can let go of the feeling, the selfishness of it.
Yeah. There's it's amazing how good you feel when you start spreading joy or happiness or just doing a simple act of kindness to somebody will just make you feel better. And when
Yep.
you're having a bad day, if you just think to yourself, okay, can I make somebody smile today? I know it's really sort of a difficult thing to do when you're really having a bad day, but if you can do that, it's amazing how you can change, how your
Right.
mood can change. So, yeah, this program, this Happy for No Reason program, has these 7 pillars, and each pillar has um, like 3 practices that you can do. And it's a process. It's not like, okay, I'm going to decide to be happy and now I'm happy. No, it doesn't work that way. Our
Right.
brains are already have the habits embedded in them. We have to work at it. We have to make it a daily intention. We have to work at it. We have to be aware. We have to develop self awareness of ourselves. And it's very, very powerful, but it is a process. It's a process that takes time and
Right.
evolution
Now,
to.
when you get to the self awareness part of it, I think I struggle with that a little bit now. Is how do you deal with the self awareness almost becoming overwhelming when you realize all the things that you have to change? Like, is there a step in that process that can help with that?
Well, I would say don't look at the whole picture, just take one thing at a time,
Okay.
one step at a time. So if you want to change, what is it that you want to change the most? Like, are you holding anger? Are you holding resentment? Are you, what is it? The one specific, pick one specific thing you want to work on.
Okay.
And the Happy for No Reason program sort of breaks it down and takes you through the steps. And the first one is taking ownership of your own happiness. Now, and actually, there's a really good exercise for that. It's called the blame, shame, and complain game. Because if you find yourself complaining about others or circumstances, blaming people when things don't go right or circumstances, or shaming yourself, which is really like blaming yourself when things don't go right or when you make a mistake, then you're basically taking the mentality of a victim. And we need to shift to take the mentality of a victor. So we need to accept what happens to us. We need to focus on solutions instead of focusing on problems. We need to stop complaining and blaming. We need to look at the situations that we didn't like, and instead of complaining about them, we can look at them like, what can we learn from that? How can we improve from what is happening here? Where's the gift here? And so this game is, you take a jar or a box or whatever, and it's your blame, complain, and shame jar, and you say, okay, I'm going to put $1 in it every time I catch myself. And you can do it with your family or with other people. I did it with my family. It was very powerful. And so every time you catch yourself complaining or blaming or shaming, you put $1 in the jar. You give yourself 3 days, 5 days, a week, however long you want to play the game for. And then at the end of the time period, you can see how much you collected. But what's really interesting is, after like the second or third day, after reaching for the wallet, my brain actually started developing awareness. And I would start complaining and I would stop myself. And I'd realize, darn, you're complaining again. I don't want to pay that $1 into the jar. And
Yep.
I'd stop myself. And by doing that as an intentional practice, I developed an awareness, but it took a few days. And then when you don't focus on it, sometimes you'll sort of slide back and you have to start focusing it on again. And it's really nice when you do it with other people, if you have other people around, because if they're nice, they'll help you catch yourself without making you feel bad. You know what I
Right.
mean? And everybody wants to improve. And so it's very, very powerful. So that's one of the exercises. And so each pillar, the foundation, the mind, the heart, the body, the soul, the roof is living your purpose, and the garden, which is surrounding yourself with nourishing relationships. Each one of these pillars has a series of 3 practices that you can do and work through And so it's quite an intensive program. You can't sit there and do them all at once. You just do them, and you can sort of do them in the sequence. First is taking responsibility, then it's starting to address how you think and understanding the process of the mind. And then it's like focusing on the heart and how you can use the heart to mellow the mind and influence the mind. And then, taking care of the body, connecting with God and the spirit, finding your life purpose, which gives you motivation to keep moving forward, and your garden, which is surrounding yourself with supportive people, because we need to be supported.
Yeah.
We need each other. And if we are around people that are negative, they're going to bring us down.
Yep.
We need to weed the garden. We need
Yep.
to weed the garden and only have people that are going to be harmonious with our intention.
Amen to
And
that.
then they will
Amen to that.
support us with our intention.
Amen to that. And you can learn more at your website, Juli for Joy. You can get coaching there from you, the drum circle stuff, the art and all that stuff's up there. I took a look at your website. It's a really, really well put together website.
Thank you.
And if they
Well,
have
I
any
have the free
questions,
webinars. I'm doing free webinars right now every month.
okay.
Every
So
month
yeah,
I cover a pillar. So my next webinar is on April 13th.
okay.
And so you can you can register on my website and
Awesome.
join that.
Awesome.
And then
Well,
you get a little free bonus meditation and teaching too when you register for the webinar.
Awesome. Well,
So,
I'll have to look into that myself and learn some more there. So I'll have to head over there. And stick with me for a minute. I'm going to play the credits, but as you can see, this just like another person I talked to, stop waiting for life to happen and make it happen. And you made it happen after coming out of the black hole. And that's what this is all about, is helping others out. So I appreciate you being here today. And is there anything else that you would like to let people know that are out there?
just every morning when you get up, say to yourself, this is going to be the best day of my life. And I'm so grateful I woke up, and thank you for my bed. Thank you for my pillows. Thank you for the running water. Just set an intention to make it the best day of your life, and approach it with gratitude. And you'll be amazed at how much they can help support you through your day and change your day by having that intention.
Amen to that. Amen to that. That's some good last words. And I'll
But
see you
see,
guys in the
God
next one.
already said that, and just,
Yep.
this is the day the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad. I
Yep.
mean, that's
Exactly.
what he's talking about. That's what he's talking about.
Yep.
But we
Just
have
being,
to take action on it. We can't just read it. We have to take
Yep.
action on it.
Take the action. Take the action.
So just
Make life happen.
everybody is a beautiful creation. Everybody is a gift from God. Everybody is so worthy to be alive, to be healthy, and to have happiness. Everyone deserves that. God wants us to be happy. He wants us to be whole. He wants us to be healthy.
Amen to that. Amen to that.
So there are so many people who are working with the hands and voice of God, and we need to
Yep.
surround ourselves with those people.
Amen. Amen. Surround ourselves with people, and you came today and you helped me out. Even if it doesn't help anybody else out, you really helped me out today. So I appreciate it. I'm gonna play the credits. Stick with me for a minute, and I'll be right back with you.